Hello, in this video we're looking at an endgame build for the Sage, very glass cannon route, where we are, timestamps in the description to jump around. I'm going to try to keep this shorter because there's not too much going on here. Um, so, we are leaning on Chaosbringer for our MP cost so that we don't have to worry about any sort of MP management at all other than getting the Chaosbringer up and running and then finding ways to support it. Heads up, if you do get hit once, you're dead. Um, so, but I digress. We're gonna keep going. So for our affinities, we have Sage stacked up to the again. This is an endgame version of the build. We have Sage stacked up because all that excess Sage uh, turns into intellect and spirit, spirit that helps with landing elemental vulnerability, which results in even more damage for at least one boss phase until you switch. The Black Mage also stacking that up. Uh, After 800%, you're getting bonus intellect, and that's helping us deal even more damage. Uh, and then on our gear, we have damage dealt magic sigil, uh, the, which is different from damage dealt magic or black magic because magic sigil is only for sage, magic is only for mage, and black magic only for black mage. Um, so just kind of the heads up there. We have charge time reduction because one of these days I might want to cast Meteor and try to crash someone else's computer during multiplayer. But for now, I'm just going to crash my own computer. And then we have, down below, we have Intellect during Lightbringer damage dealt, magic damage dealt, or just whatever highest damage dealt you can get a hold of after during Lightbringer damage dealt. At the time, I didn't feel like adventuring through my gear, so I just chose magic damage dealt. And then we have remove on almost every single piece of gear, uh, except for my shield, which is giving me the chance to come back if I die. The hope is that I deal enough damage to make this all happen. And I do have two pieces of gear that have, or at least I have enough pieces of gear for status ailment resistance so that I don't get silenced from, just we'll call it a random effect. Some effect that might not kill me but could silence me, that would massively suck. So I still avoid silence from those types of things. Or like, let's say I just step on a web and I don't get paralyzed, things like that. But my gear is very adventurous here, uh, where intellect is my main goal, trying to squeeze out the intellect. I'm using the Hermes Sandal to get the Dragoon 400% effect, so more attack speed, and which results in faster cast speed. And then I happen to have damage dealt at max HP because it was the only other thing. It was the quickest thing I could find that was right after during Lightbringer damage dealt. Uh, on our command abilities, we have Teleport to try to avoid getting hit from time to time. We have Barrage because why not? A little extra damage trickling in might help us a bit. And then we have a Lunatic for increased attack speed or casting speed. And then we have the Chaosbringer. So all of your MP cost turns to 0. And you can start it off right at the beginning of battle, but if you do get hit, we don't have a way to sustain that, so think we're out. On our second job, we have a few things where this this is pretty much the same build from the Cyclic Warrior monk that I was using. Uh, we have improved focus. I'm sorry, let me back up a bit. We have monk for the master. You can charge up to 4 levels, and even though that says increase the amount of break damage you deal, that's also your. It's supposed to say your damage dealt because it's always been damage dealt that it increases, which happens to also increase your break damage dealt. Um, I'm sorry, it's been some form of damage dealt. It's always impacted your damage, even though it did get adjusted. Uh, let's see here. Let's look at our gear effects. So we have, for the world map or for co-op, we have Summoner 120%, so that you could, oops, shoot, you could chain cancel and get a little bit of MP, max MP back that way. And then we also have Summoner 600% that doubles the effect of the Leviathan blessing that we have on our accessory. That being, when you soul burst the enemy, you get even more max MP. Another thing we got going on here is we have the, to a very minor extent, Cyclic Warrior 400%, so that if you do Soul Burst, your Chaosbringer extends just a little bit, and then also the 250% if you ever really fall below 200 and you just, Chaosbringer ended, you just died, you might hang out on Monk for a little bit while that max MP starts to build back up. But just the max MP, not the regular MP. In short, if you get killed, the run is effectively over, for the most part. And then I have the Paladin here, so I don't get silenced. I have the Void Knight. The most important part here is the 120% and the 50%, so that when you do Soul Burst, you get more MP limit, or more max MP. And then, just for convenience, I have the Red Mage 250%, so that when I do charge with focus, that it happens a little faster. I have the Samurai 250%. That's going to play a big role in our damage between boss phases, where I might, I don't know, right after Soul Bursting, I'll chain cancel into Sage and just start casting. And then for just a few seconds, I'll have that 100% damage dealt bonus. The Evoker is a remnant of, we're not actually benefiting from that. If you wanted to optimize this better, you would use Breaker 120% for the Soul Burst MP recovery, but or even Breaker 400% for the damage boost when you Soul Burst an enemy. And I have Gambler 120% and 50% so that I recover a random amount of MP, regular MP, when I chain cancel. This is for co-op or the world map when I kind of need to get my bearings and someone hasn't drank like a hasn't drank a mega elixir yet. And then I have the Water Prayer or Lump of Pure Envy, so that I get the enemy ability Inky Envy, where that will boost my damage, but you'll probably not see me use it because I am just too scared to switch over to Monk and do that, and then switch back to Sage. I trust that my Sage will just out-intellect any enemy in the game at this point, except for maybe Emperor or the Elemental Core, but we'll find out. Maybe. Maybe we won't. Not in this video. But on the accessory, the most important thing is that Leviathan blessing, because that triggers that effect for the Soul Burst that doubles the effect of the Leviathan's portion of the Soul Burst. Across my gear, I have improved effect Focus to help out with Focus's damage. I have improved effect Barrage because the hope is that when I do use Barrage, I might get a little bit more damage from all this. Even though my agility is horrible on the main job. I have Lightbringer duration so that my Chaosbringer lasts longer. I have buff duration so that I don't have to reapply my buffs as often. So instead of reapplying Barrage like every 15 seconds or with the trials on like maybe every 9 seconds, that might be a little bit longer. So that's great. And then I have Soul Burst MP recovery so that I get even more max MP when I Soul Burst the enemy. Now, oh, and then I have Carbuncle because that helps give me some luck. But there's other ways you could have done this. But for the most part, that's across my gear, except for maybe my feet, where I do have charge time reduction focus, because at the time I don't think I had an improved effect Barrage. So, kind of my gear. I'm sorry, yeah. Let's look at our master points before we go to our allies. So on our Sage, we have Intellect maxed out. We have Sage Job Affinity maxed out. And then for the leftover on this Master Points, I thought maybe I'll try to get Agility. That might help Barrage. Eh. And then something else I have next is Category 3 during Lightbringer damage dealt, because that was the highest damage dealt that I can start taking advantage of immediately. And then I have Ability damage dealt, because I'm not going to be critical hitting them without that Tyrant 400% or without casting from behind. I don't have the Dark Knight, so no near death. Yeah, I might be near max break, and if that were significantly higher, I'd probably go that way, but I digress. Ability damage dealt works. Also, the Afflicted, first phase, they're probably going to be Afflicted pretty quick, but for that first or second cast, they don't have anything. And if I decide to go Meteor Happy, Afflicted enemy, I'd have to land something else first to make that work. Now, on the Monk side, on the Monk side, because I'm using Gambler 120%, I do have my luck stacked up, but the three most important parts really are the Lightbringer duration, so that my Chaosbringer, which I'll use from the Monk, lasts longer, that I have the Soulburst MP recovery going. What's the word here? Soulburst MP recovery, so that between phases that lasts longer, and then I have the increased MP limit boost rate, that being very important for when we Soulburst the enemy and that kind of good stuff. And then we have buff duration here, so that I just don't have to rebuff as often. Let's look at our allies. Allies, we have Sophia on Sage, because she gets the most intellect she gets the most intellect and spirit out of that job. Where Black Mage, she gets a lot of intellect, but she loses a lot of spirit. And it's nice to have some of that spirit. Spirit. You have already said that, Ben. And then we have Liberator 600% on our allies, so that they share 12% of their stats with us, even though it does not show up on our UI, that we are getting those stats as long as they're alive. And how we keep them... And how we keep them alive is with the Lionheart accessory for the Invincible. So Invincible, she doesn't actually have that, but Invincible grants immunity to enemy attacks while Lightbringer is active, or in your ally's case, Resonance, which is pressing your direction pad left or right if you're on a controller. I still haven't looked up what that is on keyboard. I do apologize, even though I can probably just look it up right now, but let's keep going because I'm going to screw that part of the video up. So, Lionheart, as long as your Lightbringer duration is going, based on your Lightbringer duration, that Resonance, they're not going to die. That might be 20 seconds, that could be 50 seconds. So that's going to help me out. And then we have them stacked with Sage and Black Mage just to get the excess intellect and spirit across the board. And then for her gear, it's pretty much Lightbringer duration, intellect, and spirit, and remove across every single piece of gear where I can find it. And then she happens to have damage dealt and MP cost magic sigil just to help out in that way too. She's not wearing pants or traditional pants. And then on the Lionheart accessory, I left the stamina on there just for giggles. For the most part, your second ally is either Jed as a ninja or Ash as a tyrant, just because of how much intellect either of those jobs get. Jed would have helped me out with the agility side. Ooh, pardon me. But yeah, those are your allies. I am going to turn on some trials to make things uncomfortable, but I am going to sort of cheat here. And, well, actually, I was going to use Tiamat for a comparison, but we'll try to do this. And just know that in the Rift, you would even be more destructive. So I should absolutely... Whoops, wrong spell. So it's absolutely worth it to try to take your time at the beginning and get things right. Let's see here. And if you're in the world map, it would really help if you just chain canceled anyway. So Astos is completely going to get it. Poor guy, poor elf, cannot catch a break. Punching Sophia. Let's punch, but don't actually touch. Yep, barely not touching. It's magic. Okay, let's get a barrage going. And so even without things like the Hunter Analyze, multiplicative stuff, we just have just too much intellect. And we're, in this case, stacking a lot of... But let's make sure that this next part of the battle goes a little bit in our favor. I don't know what I don't know what I mean by that. Let's start a Chaosbringer. I should have just casted. Let's do an Ultima. I can't. Huh. Oh, I needed to cast one more. Oh, well. Sorry, my UI is not showing up. You know what I forgot to do? Something is wrong here. Oh my gosh. Oh shoot, the top of my screen. That's what I meant to fix. Okay. Let's look at the Rift for a moment. That is not the Rift. That is not the Rift that I mean to go to. Stop it. Ben, do it. Stop. Go here. And so in the Rift, we have multiple advantages because we have Phoenix Downs. We also have these Mega Ethers where you can start with a lot of max MP. And then you can just kind of like, yay, I get some of these back. Now, let's look at our monsters for a moment, because I haven't adjusted this yet. So, we have the horse for the intellect, bonus for the magic damage dealt. Pardon me. We have the eyeball for or the flying eye for the intellect, bonus if you have Sage and Void Knight leveled up. And the During Lightbringer damage dealt, that's nice. We have the Behemoth for the damage dealt to bosses. And then we have the Bomb for now for the damage dealt to bosses. And then we have Curl because we want the Monster Quest efficiency. But bonus if you have the White Mage and the Tyrant leveled up so that you get to White Mage Revive and Tyrant to accumulate status ailments a little quicker on the enemy. And then you get the critical hit at least one phase. And then we have the Spirit. Now, realistically, I should just stop the video right here, but I see this Rift here and I'm like, I want to go in. I want to regret everything. And so we're going to do that. We're going to go in and regret everything and then wish that we never recorded this video to begin with. But we're going in. I'm sorry, if anyone hears that music in the background, that is the I downloaded some other games, the Grand Blue Fantasy Relink demo. Haven't tried it yet. Okay, stop it. Whoops. Oh, shoot. Oh, great. This jerk. Focus Ben. Monk focus? Well, yeah, we could. Grab my hair, you punk. No! Here, take this instead. Ah! I'm sorry, I need to stop doing that during a build video. Now, I should recast Haste, but Poor Astos cannot catch a friggin' break. If we really wanted to do this better, we would have chain canceled from the monk after a focus that didn't do anything. Okay. But we had time. So you buff up between bosses just in case. And we're going to end up reapplying the Chaosbringer before this boss's end. Oh, great. Spoilers? Ow! The Sophia twins. Oh, this poor creature had no friggin' chance. It spawned into the room with basically a broken bar, and now it's gonna get lightning. This poor creature. Also, it had multiple target points, so that lightning hitting from above hits the tails, hits the claws, hits its body. It was bad. That was a bad matchup. Oh, great. You're this close. And then this thing has multiple heads. So, but yeah, trying to just being really careful here. So, yeah, if we get hit, we are effectively dead. Sorry, it's slowing down. I can't even pick up this loot. Oh my gosh. Oh no. No. Oh, that reminds me. I did get a request to make how do you sort through your loot bin video, so I need to. I haven't forgotten. This was the second time I think I got the request, so I need to absolutely do that. But let's wrap up before the computer crashes. And all this good stuff. So let's go save. And what are we trying here? Oh, yeah. So rough idea of how this glass cannon type of endgame Chaosbringer Sage might go here. And the Phoenix is my safety net for things going horribly wrong. But yeah, I hope that helps. And I also hope I was recording. Am I? Yes. Whew. 25 minutes!